And joining me shortly right now is Bamgboye Adeniyi Emmanuel, another sound economist and tax expert who will be helping us to weigh in on the reason why CBN really take this decision. And one of the reasons Dr. Yemi Cardoso say is that inflation in Nigeria is high. There is no way they are going to reduce interest rates, but to maintain it at this point in time so that they can use it to fight inflation. And that is one of the core reasons why they are retaining MPR at 27.5%. Joining me right now is Bamgboye. A very good day to you, sir.
My brother, how are you doing?
Very fine. And you also, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. All right,
so let's get down to the issue at this point in time. How did you receive the information when CBN said they are retaining 27.5% as the MPR rate?
It's a very, as you said, it's a very laudable initiative. It's a very good move. And historically speaking, we all know Nigerians' inflation dynamics were mainly driven by monetary and exchange rate factors. You know, surprisingly, the main force behind Nigeria's inflation issue is based on monetary expansion. So it's a very good move. And I always say this, for every country to progress, there must be, these three economic indicators must be working. Your inflation rate, your interest rate, and your exchange rate. So this initiative by the government, by the CBN, is targeted at the inflation rate, which is a very laudable move.
Exactly.
Thank you.
All right, now talking about the inflation rate at this point in time, I'll quickly point this question to you. You are a tax expert. How do you receive the signing of the tax reform will now become an act now? Because you must also share your experience with us with the tax reform becoming a new law in Nigeria now. How do you see it? Even though we are going to start implementing it January 2026, but from your own perspective as an expert on tax, how did you receive it, and what do you think will be our gain having a new tax law in Nigeria?
The gains are enormous because this tax law, this current reform, it's unprecedented. It's one of its kind. It has never happened before. What we've been experiencing in the past are just finance acts, which is a yearly thing. But this new tax reform takes an holistic look at every aspect of taxation. You know, we have the company income tax, personal income tax. You know, and at the end of the day, they've been able to. The president has been able to sign 4 different acts. You know, that will take effect 1st of January 2020. So, and I like this because it will give even the regulatory authorities time to prepare and to put the acts in order, because the new tax law is actually technologically driven. So the government and the regulatory, the NRS, that will be the currently called the FRS, will have to put a lot of technology infrastructure in place so that they can cope with this new tax law. And it will also affect the way we perceive the outside world perceive Nigeria. You know, to attract foreign investment, because there will be certainty, and it will also affect the ease of doing business too. Because previously, I used to have my personal reservations about we issuing out finance acts every year, because it creates a lot of imbalance and inconsistency. Because it shows that we shows policy inconsistency. But this new reform is well thought out, it's well designed, and I strongly believe, and as an optimistic Nigerian, that we are getting it right for the first time this time.
Exactly. Let's get back to the CBN retention of the MPR at 27.5%. Some bank executives were like, no, CBN should tamper a little with the CRR at 50% and reduce it. What's your take on that? Reducing CRR, that be cash reserve ratio, at 50%, they should reduce it a little. That's what bank executives are saying. Although they don't want to come out, they are using third party, they are using some financial analysts to begin to cajole CBN that please reduce CRR for us. But what's your own opinion on that as a tax expert as well as a financial analyst?
I think the retention rate is of 27.5% by the CBN.
Exactly.
It's a significant monetary policy decision. You know, that is aimed at, like I said earlier, addressing the inflationary pressure we are currently facing. So the figure was communicated through the official panel and including press releases and announcements during the MCP, the last MCP meeting. And the CBN decision, in my own opinion, reflects its commitment to maintain a tight monetary stance to control inflation, which has been a plague to our progress and growth as a nation. So I think the decision is also influenced by economic indicators and the projection. And I think I would advise the CBN at this point to another regulatory bodies to keep all hands on deck, not to keep their eyes off the price, and to monitor things so that, you know, things don't go haywire.
Exactly.
So that I think I'm in support of the retention rate of 27.5%. It's actually very good for now.
Now, talking about you accepting the MPR rate at 27.5%, one key reason that CBN gave was that there is pressure, particularly price pressure, across Nigeria. And for ordinary Nigerians, as we speak right now, food inflation is one of the key issues that they normally raise about. So for you, you believe that this retention will help us to reduce price pressure, particularly food price pressure in Nigeria?
Yes, and like I said earlier, this, as we all know, the CBN is in charge of the monetary policy. I think for them to work well and to work in the interest of the nation, they need to work in tandem with the physical side too. You know, and we just mentioned tax, which is also a very strong physical tool the government is currently using to control the economy. So they must also work so that, and it's also work with the Ministry of Finance, other units, Ministry of Agriculture, because if we don't do that, all this projection will just be, to me, I call it statistical manipulation. Because what's the essence of churning out projections that does not impact the common man? But on paper, this is very good. But the CBN must collaborate with other agencies, especially the Ministry of Finance, the FIS, so that all these things will make sense on the long run.
Now, before I let you go, there has been a good news also on the part of Nigeria economy. We have carried out our rebasing. NBS has released a rebasing figure, and for the rebasing figure of 2024 and 2019 that was done, we now have a rebased economy of GDP of 372 trillion. Give us a perspective of your own understanding of this rebasing.
Okay, it's not a new thing. Other countries in the world have done that, and I believe this represents a more accurate and a comprehensive assessment of the current Nigerian economic activity. So this adjustment is crucial at this time, as it reflects the changes in the structure of the economy over time, including the growth. Even though when I looked at the figure physically, they didn't include services and technology. You know, that they included it now, but they've not been including it in their previous calculation, which is highly commendable, because that is the future, services and technology, and and I mentioned earlier that the new tax law and the new tax act that has been signed will be driven majorly by technology, because as we all know, our population is large and massive. So, and a higher GDP can enhance our Nigeria's global economic standing and ultimately attract foreign investment, which is actually is vital for a sustainable development. However, it is essential to analyze all these underlying factors to ensure that, like I said earlier, it's not just a mere statistical adjustment that does not reflect economic realities. So we must get our hands dirty and tackle the whole issue, and not all this. We should not focus on inflation alone. We should also focus on the interest rate and how the inflation can affect other economic indicators, so to speak.
Exactly. But Bamgboye, before I let you go, yesterday President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I know you are aware of this news. Yesterday President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have all the committee in charge of the single window operation that will be starting next year to ensure that Nigeria enjoy the benefit of this single window coming out from the Nigerian Port Authority. And you are a tax expert, and you know when we talk about the port, we're talking about tariff, we're talking about fees. So, but what is your own assessment of this order and decision of the government that by 2026 the single window must be very effective and must bring in to yield more revenue for the federal government of Nigeria?
I think it's the pronouncement by the president is very laudable. And for the next thing now is the implementation. And part of the implementation is the overhauling of, because it's the overhauling of the enactment of the new tax law, which also, if you read through the act, there's an aspect that deals with that this particular issue you are mentioning.
Exactly.
So the devil is in the implementation, because we have a lot of agencies, even under the government, that collect revenue, but there must be an harmonization of all these taxes, so that business will be very easy to conduct in this country. So I think the pronouncement by the government by the president is very good, but the devil is in the implementation, because we've seen this severally, where the president will say one thing, and those people at the grassroots responsible for the implementation will do something contrary to what the president has instructed.
Exactly.
So that's my critique on that.
All right. I really appreciate you for coming on the show, and your submissions are quite very instructive, particularly, putting your voice to the issue of the CBN NPR MPC rate, as well as the tax reform that is coming by 2026, and the single window pronouncement from the president that saying that we must make it work for Nigeria. So, Bamgboye Adeniyi Emmanuel, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I hope to join you again very soon.
All right, sir. All right.